Welcome to Easy English Official. Today, we have an incredible story that will inspire you, motivate you, and help you improve your English at the same time. Imagine a young boy from a small village in Myanmar, with big dreams but very little resources, facing challenges that seem impossible. This is the story of Aung La Nsang, a man who fought not only in the ring but for his dreams, his people, and his country. In this video, you will follow his journey from humble beginnings, through struggles, defeats, and injuries, to becoming a world champion who inspires thousands. You will hear about his first steps into martial arts, the moments he almost gave up, and the incredible victories that changed his life forever. Along the way, we will show you simple, clear English phrases, words about courage, perseverance, and personal growth, so you can listen, read, and practice while being inspired. You will learn how fear became courage, how setbacks became lessons, and how dreams became reality through patience, faith, and hard work. This story is full of emotions, suspense, and hope, perfect for anyone who wants to improve English and gain life lessons at the same time. Stay with us until the end, because the final moments will teach you the most important lessons about life, determination, and giving back to your community. By the end, you will feel motivated, inspired, and ready to take your own small steps toward your dreams. So, get comfortable, focus, and let's dive into the amazing journey of Aung La Nsang together. Beginnings and humble roots. Aung La Nsang was born in a small town in Myanmar, surrounded by quiet streets and simple homes. His family did not have much money, but their love for each other was strong, and every day was filled with small acts of care and support. As a boy, Aung La often played with other children in the dusty schoolyard, running barefoot and laughing under the warm sun. He loved to compete in small games, testing his speed and strength, even when he sometimes came in last. His parents worked hard every day, and he watched them with admiration and curiosity. He learned early that life was not always easy, but effort and dedication mattered more than comfort or talent. At home, the kitchen was small, and meals were simple, but each dinner brought the family together. Aung La felt a sense of belonging and safety, yet he dreamed of something greater than his quiet surroundings. He would look out at the distant hills and imagine himself standing on a larger stage, far beyond the streets he knew. The contrast between his small village and the world he imagined was vast, yet it fueled a quiet determination in his heart. Even in school, he noticed his love for movement and challenges. He joined every race, every small sports contest, pushing himself even when others were faster or stronger. Each loss taught him humility, and each small success gave him hope. Sometimes, he would fall and scrape his knees, yet he never stopped running. The small pains of childhood became lessons in resilience, showing him that struggle was part of growth. Every bruise reminded him that effort mattered more than ease. Aung La's imagination was alive with heroes and fighters from stories he heard at home and in school. He wondered how ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things. These thoughts planted the seeds of a lifelong ambition, to test himself, to fight, and to rise beyond limitations. Even at this young age, his friends noticed his quiet courage. While some children played without thinking, Aung La carried a sense of purpose that was hard to explain. His determination was gentle, yet persistent, like a small fire glowing steadily. He spent afternoons helping his family, yet his mind often wandered to the dream of becoming someone great. The simplicity of his daily life contrasted with the vastness of his ambitions, creating a tension that inspired him silently. Looking back, those early years shaped the foundation of who he would become. They taught him gratitude, humility, and the value of hard work. Each small challenge, each scraped knee, each race lost or won, built a spirit that could endure far greater trials. It was in this mixture of love, struggle, and quiet dreaming that Aung La Nsang's journey began. The boy from a modest home carried within him the courage to pursue something larger, a dream that would take him beyond the familiar streets of his childhood. Even as he played and laughed, a quiet voice inside reminded him, one day, he would rise, not just for himself, but for everyone who believed in him. The small town may have been humble, but it was where the heart of a fighter first took shape. Discovering martial arts. When Aung La first saw a martial arts class in his town, his eyes widened with curiosity and excitement. The sounds of punches hitting pads and the swift movements of the students filled him with energy he had never felt before. He stepped into the gym nervously, unsure of what to expect. The floor was worn, the mats old, and the smell of sweat was strong, but something inside him said this was where he belonged. The first lessons were difficult. His arms ached from holding blocks, his legs trembled during kicks, and he struggled to follow the fast movements of the instructor. Every small mistake made him feel frustrated, but he did not give up. Sometimes, he wanted to quit and return to the comfort of home and his small neighborhood games. He compared himself to the older students who moved gracefully, feeling weak and slow in contrast. Yet, every time he thought of quitting, a spark inside reminded him why he had come. He practiced tirelessly, repeating punches and kicks over and over. His muscles burned, but slowly, he began to see small improvements. The first time he landed a kick correctly, he smiled, feeling a sense of hope for the first time. Aung La learned quickly that success would not come immediately. Stamina was low, techniques were clumsy, and confidence wavered with every challenge. Each day required patience, focus, and the willingness to fail and try again. He discovered that martial arts was more than fighting, it was about discipline, respect, and understanding his own limits. Every fall and every bruise taught him a lesson that no words could explain. Even as he struggled, he felt alive in a way that school or play had never given him. His excitement battled against frustration, creating a tension that pushed him to keep moving forward. He made friends with other students who also faced challenges, sharing encouragement and small victories. Their support reminded him that no journey was meant to be walked alone, and that progress often comes in tiny, quiet steps. After weeks of training, he could feel his body growing stronger, his mind sharper, and his heart braver. The small achievements built his confidence, showing him that persistence could turn struggle into progress. Aung La began to dream bigger than before, imagining not only mastering martial arts but competing in real matches. The gym had become a place of possibility, a bridge from a boy with hope to a fighter ready to step into the ring. With every punch, every kick, and every moment of doubt overcome, he realized that the first taste of achievement always comes after the hardest effort. This lesson would guide him through the challenges that lay ahead. The boy who once stumbled through his first class now carried a quiet determination, ready to face his first competitions and the trials that would shape his path. The spark of hope had been lit, and it was growing steadily inside him. First fights, First defeats. Aung La Nsang stepped into his first real match with a mixture of excitement and fear. The bright lights of the ring, the noise of the crowd, and the stare of his opponent made his heart pound like never before. He remembered all the early mornings of training, the sweat, the bruises, and the small victories in the gym. Yet, nothing could fully prepare him for the reality of standing face to face with someone equally determined and strong. As the bell rang, his body tensed, and his mind raced with thoughts of success and failure. Every movement required focus, but his nerves made him hesitate, and small mistakes appeared in his technique. The first round was difficult. He dodged some punches, landed a few of his own, but overall, he felt clumsy compared to his opponent. The crowd cheered for each movement, and he felt both pressure and the thrill of being alive in the moment. By the second round, fatigue began to set in. His legs ached, his arms burned, and he started doubting himself. He wondered if all the training was enough, if he truly had the skill to win. Despite the fear, Aung La found moments of courage. He remembered his family, his village, and the dream that had carried him this far. Each memory gave him strength to push through the exhaustion and keep fighting. But the match ended with defeat. He felt a deep sting of disappointment and sadness, questioning his own ability. Walking out of the ring, he carried the weight of failure, and a quiet voice inside asked if he should give up. He returned to the gym the next day, feeling sore and discouraged. Yet, as he trained, he noticed small improvements that he had not seen before. Each punch felt a little sharper, each movement a little smoother, and he began to understand that defeat was also a lesson. Aung La learned to watch his mistakes carefully and to reflect on what went wrong. He asked his coaches for advice, watched videos, and practiced tirelessly. Every loss became a map showing the path to improvement. He also discovered that fear could be a teacher. Feeling anxious before a fight was normal, but facing that fear and acting despite it was what made a fighter grow. Courage was not the absence of fear, it was moving forward in spite of it. After several matches, both wins and losses, he realized that persistence mattered more than immediate success. The contrast between his dreams and his early reality created tension, but it also shaped his character. Each defeat made him stronger, more focused, and more determined to succeed. He understood that setbacks were part of the journey, not the end of it. The lessons from these early fights planted a seed of resilience that would guide every step of his career. Even when the world seemed larger than his ability, he decided not to quit. He committed fully to his dream, knowing that the path of a fighter was not easy, but that every struggle could lead to triumph. With each loss and reflection, Aung La began to see a new kind of victory, the victory of learning, growing, and refusing to give up. His journey was just beginning, and the next fights would test not only his strength but his spirit. Leaving home, challenges abroad. Aung La Nsang stood at the airport, looking at the plane that would take him far from his home in Myanmar. He felt a mix of excitement and fear, knowing that the journey ahead would test him in ways he had never imagined. The first country he arrived in was strange and noisy, with signs he could not read and people speaking a language he barely understood. Simple tasks, like ordering food or finding a taxi, became small challenges that felt much bigger than any fight in the gym. He missed the warmth of his family and the familiar streets of his village. Nights were lonely, and the quiet of his small room made him wonder if he had made the right decision. Yet, deep inside, he reminded himself of the dream that had carried him this far. Training in a foreign gym was another test. Coaches spoke quickly, and other fighters had different styles and habits. Aung La often struggled to keep up, and mistakes that seemed small back home now felt enormous in a new environment. He had to learn new routines, adapt to different foods, and adjust to cultural customs that were unfamiliar. Each day required courage to step out of comfort and face uncertainty. The contrast between his old life and his current reality was sharp, but it gave him a sense of purpose. Sometimes he felt frustrated and wanted to return home, but he remembered why he had left. Every small step in this new world, from understanding instructions to connecting with teammates, was a victory that strengthened his confidence. He also discovered that challenges abroad taught him resilience. Struggling to communicate forced him to be patient, to observe, and to find creative ways to express himself. Slowly, he learned that language and culture could be bridges, not barriers. The first weeks were the hardest. He stumbled, felt out of place, and faced doubts that whispered he was not ready for the world stage. But with every early morning run and every late-night practice, he grew stronger, learning that discomfort often leads to growth. Aung La began to see small signs of progress. Coaches noticed his dedication, teammates respected his work ethic, and his body responded to the intense training. The victories were not in the ring yet, but they were beginning to show in his skill and confidence. He faced every day with a quiet determination, understanding that leaving home was only the first step toward achieving greatness. Each challenge abroad became a lesson in patience, courage, and the power of persistence. Even though he was far from everything familiar, he realized that stepping into the unknown was necessary to reach his dreams. The boy who once played in the dusty streets of his village was now learning to navigate a world much larger than he had ever imagined. Every difficulty, every mistake, and every lonely night slowly built the foundation for something greater. He could feel his strength growing, not just in his body, but in his mind and spirit. By the end of these first months, Aung La knew that the sacrifices he made and the challenges he faced abroad were shaping him into a fighter ready to face real competitions. The world was unfamiliar, but he was beginning to belong in it. And in the quiet moments before sleep, he allowed himself a small smile, knowing that the journey, though hard, was leading him closer to his first major victory. First major victory. The night of Aung La Nsang's first big international fight arrived, and he could feel his heart beating faster than ever. The lights of the arena shone brightly, and the roar of the crowd filled the space, creating a mixture of fear and excitement he had never felt before. Weeks of preparation had led to this moment. Every early morning run, every hour of sparring, every drop of sweat in the gym had built toward this fight. He carried all of that effort with him into the ring. As he faced his opponent, Aung La remembered the early defeats that had shaped him. He felt the tension of doubt, but he also felt the quiet strength that came from persistence and hard work. Every loss had taught him something, and now he would apply it. The bell rang, and the fight began. Aung La moved cautiously at first, watching his opponent and waiting for the right moment to strike. Each punch, each kick, each movement required focus, strategy, and courage. At times, the match was exhausting, and he could feel his energy waning. His muscles ached, and sweat poured down his face, but he remembered why he had come this far. The dream of victory, the hope of proving himself, and the vision of inspiring his people pushed him forward. The crowd cheered louder with every moment, and he could hear their voices even through the adrenaline and focus. Their energy gave him strength, reminding him that he was not alone, that people believed in him even when he had doubts. Finally, after several intense rounds, Aung La saw the opportunity he had been waiting for. With careful timing, he executed a combination he had practiced countless times in the gym. His opponent was caught off guard, and Aung La took control of the fight. The final bell rang, and the judges announced the winner, Aung La Nsang. Relief and pride flooded his body, and for the first time, he allowed himself to feel the full weight of his achievement. The boy who had stumbled in early fights now stood victorious on an international stage. Tears mixed with sweat as he raised his hands in triumph. The contrast between this moment and his past defeats was immense, showing him how far persistence and courage could carry someone. Every struggle, every doubt, every failure had led to this breakthrough. In the locker room afterward, he reflected quietly on what he had learned. Victory was not just about skill, it was about heart, focus, and the willingness to continue when others might give up. He felt hope growing inside, a sense that anything was possible with effort and belief. Even as celebrations began, he understood that success brought new challenges. Maintaining focus, handling attention, and continuing to improve would require just as much determination as winning this fight. But for now, he allowed himself a moment to breathe, to feel joy, and to honor the journey that had brought him here. This first victory was more than a win in the ring. It was proof that dreams could be achieved through hard work and resilience. It showed him that setbacks were not the end, but steps towards something greater, and that the path of a fighter was always worth walking. With the roar of the crowd still echoing in his ears, Aung La Nsang knew that this was only the beginning, and that the lessons of this victory would guide him through the trials yet to come. Fame and responsibility. After his first major victories, Aung La Nsang's name began to travel far beyond the gyms and arenas where he had trained. Fans from Myanmar and around the world started to recognize him, sending messages of support and admiration that made him proud and grateful. Yet, with recognition came pressure. Every move he made was noticed, every fight anticipated, and every statement he gave carried weight. He felt the eyes of many people on him, and sometimes, that attention felt heavy and overwhelming. Media interviews became a part of his life. Cameras flashed, questions came quickly, and he had to find the right words while remaining true to himself. The experience was exciting, but also stressful, and he learned that fame could be both a gift and a challenge. Aung La also felt a deep responsibility toward his fans and his country. Representing Myanmar on an international stage was an honor, but it was also a constant reminder that his actions mattered beyond himself. This responsibility motivated him, yet sometimes added tension to his daily life. He worked hard to balance confidence with humility. In training, he pushed himself like never before, knowing that his victories inspired others. Outside the ring, he remained grounded, connecting with fans and remembering the streets and gyms that shaped him. Interviews and public appearances were new experiences that required patience and thoughtfulness. At first, He stumbled over words, struggled with translation, or felt nervous in front of large audiences. Gradually, he learned to speak with clarity, sincerity, and respect, turning challenges into opportunities for growth. The cheers of fans were uplifting, yet the expectations they brought sometimes felt heavy. Aung La had to remind himself that he could only control his effort, his preparation, and his attitude. He could not please everyone, but he could honor the journey that had brought him this far. Even in moments of doubt or exhaustion, he found strength in reflection. He remembered the boy who had run barefoot in his village, the early defeats in the gym, and the lonely nights abroad. Those memories grounded him, reminding him of where he came from and why he fought. Aung La also discovered the power of focus. Fame could distract or inflate the ego, but by keeping attention on training, technique, and self-discipline, he maintained balance. The contrast between public admiration and personal responsibility taught him resilience in a new way. With each victory, the attention grew, but so did his inner confidence. He understood that true success was not only measured by wins in the ring but also by the ability to stay humble, connected, and purposeful. He learned to celebrate victories without letting them define him entirely. Each win became a step forward, not a peak to rest upon, and each moment of recognition reinforced the importance of persistence, effort, and integrity. Through this experience, Aung La realized that being a champion was more than fighting, it was about inspiring, carrying responsibility, and setting an example. The balance of pride and pressure became a lesson in character, shaping him into not only a fighter but a role model. And as he looked toward the next championship fights, he felt both excitement and gravity. The journey of fame and responsibility had begun, and it would test him in ways that went beyond physical strength, preparing him for challenges that could define his legacy. Setbacks and struggles. Aung La Nsang woke one morning with pain in his shoulder, a reminder of the fight from the previous week. The injury slowed him down, making simple training exercises feel like heavy burdens, and he wondered if he could continue at the same level. The pain was not only physical. His mind felt tired, and doubts began to creep in. Am I strong enough? Can I keep winning? He asked himself quietly, unsure if his body and spirit could endure the challenges ahead. During training, every movement reminded him of his limits. Kicks that once felt natural now strained his muscles, and punches seemed slower than before. Frustration built as he watched other fighters progress while he felt trapped by his own body. At times, he wanted to rest and take a break, to leave the gym and avoid the pressure. Yet, each time the thought crossed his mind, a voice inside reminded him of his journey. You started this for a reason, he thought, and giving up now will not help anyone. He spoke with his coaches and teammates about the pain and doubts. They encouraged him, sharing their own stories of injury and struggle. Listening to them, he realized that every fighter faces obstacles, and the key was how one responded to them. Slowly, Aung La adjusted his training, focusing on recovery, technique, and patience. He learned that pushing too hard could cause more harm, and that careful, mindful practice could still lead to progress. Each small step became a victory, even when it felt minor compared to past achievements. There were nights when he felt lonely and exhausted, wondering if the sacrifices were worth it. Yet, he remembered the boy who dreamed in his small village, the early defeats, and the first victories abroad. Those memories reminded him of the strength he carried within. He also learned to manage fear differently. The fear of injury, the fear of failure, and the fear of disappointing others were real, but they did not have to control him. By facing each fear, step by step, he discovered courage that he had not known existed before. With careful attention to his health and gradual improvements in his body, Aung La started to regain confidence. The pain did not vanish, but he learned to move through it, adapting and growing stronger in the process. The contrast between struggle and determination became a powerful teacher. Each moment of doubt sharpened his focus, each setback strengthened his resolve, and each small recovery reminded him that progress is often slow but meaningful. He reflected on the lessons he had learned. Patience, resilience, and self-belief were as important as speed or strength. Physical setbacks tested the mind, and mental struggle could challenge the body, but overcoming both created a deeper kind of victory. By the end of this period, Aung La felt a quiet strength growing inside. He knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but he also knew that he had faced pain, fear, and doubt before, and that each challenge was another opportunity to rise. With renewed determination, he prepared to return to the gym fully, ready to train harder and smarter. The journey through struggle had shaped him, and he was ready to prove that setbacks are not the end, but the beginning of true resilience. Championship glory. The day of Aung La Nsang's major championship fight arrived with a mix of tension and excitement that filled every corner of the arena. The crowd's energy was electric, their cheers and applause echoing through the space, making his heart pound with both fear and anticipation. Weeks of preparation had led to this moment. Every early morning run, every hour in the gym, and every moment of discipline culminated in this fight, reminding him of the long journey from his village to the international stage. As he entered the ring, Aung La remembered the struggles he had overcome, early defeats, injuries, and doubts that had once shadowed his path. Each challenge now felt like a stepping stone, giving him strength and focus for the battle ahead. The bell rang, and the fight began. Aung La moved carefully, watching his opponent and calculating each strike. He used the techniques he had practiced countless times, combining speed, power, and strategy in every motion. The match was intense. Each punch and kick brought a surge of adrenaline, and moments of fatigue tested his endurance. The audience roared with every exchange, their energy pushing him forward even when his body screamed to slow down. At one point, his opponent landed a hard hit that shook him, reminding him of past setbacks and the pain of previous losses. A brief moment of fear crossed his mind, but he shook it off, focusing on the present and trusting his training. Round after round, Aung La displayed precision and determination. He adapted quickly, reading his opponent's movements and exploiting small openings. Each successful strike built his confidence, and each defensive maneuver showed his resilience. Finally, in a decisive moment, he executed a combination that had been rehearsed over countless hours in the gym. His opponent stumbled, and the crowd erupted as the judges confirmed the victory. Relief, pride, and joy flooded his body, mixing with tears and sweat in a powerful moment of triumph. Aung La raised his hands in victory, feeling the weight of his achievement and the contrast to the struggles he had faced before. The boy who had once trained in small gyms, doubted himself, and endured injury and fear had now become a champion. As cameras flashed and fans cheered, he reflected quietly on his journey. Victory was not just the result of strength, but of patience, discipline, courage, and the willingness to face every challenge without giving up. The applause reminded him that every struggle had meaning, every setback had a lesson, and every moment of persistence had led to this extraordinary achievement. Triumph had arrived, not as a sudden event, but as the result of countless days of effort and determination. He allowed himself a moment to breathe and feel joy, knowing that this victory was also a message of hope for his people. It showed that dreams are possible when courage meets perseverance, and that setbacks are only temporary on the path to greatness. With the championship belt in his hands, Aung La felt both pride and humility. The victories celebrated his hard work, but it also reminded him that the journey continued, with new challenges, responsibilities, and opportunities to inspire others. As he looked around the arena one last time, he knew this moment would forever define his journey, illustrating the power of resilience, determination, and unwavering belief in oneself. Duty and inspiration. Even as a world champion, Aung La Nsang never forgot the people who shaped him and the country he represents. Every victory in the ring reminded him of the streets, gyms, and villages of Myanmar, and he felt a deep responsibility to give back to his community. He often visited local schools and sports centers, speaking to young athletes about dedication, discipline, and dreams. Children listened with wide eyes, inspired by his story, and he felt a quiet pride in showing them that hard work could lead to great achievements. During these visits, he shared not only his victories but also his struggles. He spoke about injuries, doubts, and defeats, teaching that perseverance is as important as talent. By showing both sides of his journey, he helped young people understand that success is earned through effort and resilience. Aung La also promoted sports across Myanmar, encouraging youth to practice martial arts, exercise, and develop self-confidence. He organized workshops and demonstrations, showing that discipline and focus could transform both body and mind. Each event was a reminder that personal triumph could inspire collective growth. The gratitude he felt toward his fans was immense. Messages of support, encouragement, and admiration reached him daily, motivating him to continue working hard. He knew that his success was not only his own but also a source of hope and pride for many people. Balancing fame with responsibility was not always easy. While he enjoyed the admiration, he remained conscious of the example he set. Every interview, every public appearance, and every gesture carried meaning, and he took care to act with humility and integrity. Aung La believed that inspiration comes from both words and actions. By training hard, showing respect, and engaging with his community, he aimed to create a ripple effect. Young athletes saw that perseverance and character mattered as much as physical strength. Even in small towns, far from the arenas and media attention, he met children who dreamed of following his path. Their excitement reminded him of his own beginnings and the boy who had imagined greatness despite humble surroundings. These encounters strengthened his sense of purpose. He often reflected on how personal success could be transformed into collective benefit. By sharing lessons learned in the gym and the ring, he hoped to build a culture of discipline, courage, and optimism. Each story he told, each demonstration he gave, was a way to connect his achievements to the aspirations of others. Aung La's commitment extended beyond sports. He participated in charity events, community projects, and local initiatives, emphasizing teamwork, support, and gratitude. Through these actions, he illustrated that true champions care not only for themselves but for the people around them. He understood that responsibility and inspiration were ongoing journeys, requiring patience and attention. Every smile from a child, every motivated young athlete, and every supportive message reinforced the idea that his role went far beyond victories in the ring. Through this balance of personal triumph and social responsibility, Aung La Nsang became more than a champion, he became a symbol of hope. His story showed that success is most meaningful when it lifts others, and that the courage to dream can inspire a nation. As he prepared for future challenges, he carried both pride and purpose, knowing that each fight, each achievement, and each interaction could leave a lasting impact on the lives of those who looked up to him. Lessons and legacy. Aung La Nsang's journey shows us that success is not only about strength, talent, or luck. It is about perseverance, discipline, and believing in yourself even when the path is difficult and uncertain. He began as a boy with dreams in a small village, facing challenges that seemed impossible. Yet, each setback, each defeat, and each painful moment became a lesson that shaped him into the champion he is today. Faith in his abilities and hard work carried him through injuries, defeats, and self-doubt. He learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to continue despite it. Every morning of training, every tough match, and every difficult decision reinforced this truth. Discipline became his foundation. From strict training routines to careful diet and rest, he realized that small, consistent actions produce great results over time. Discipline was not a restriction, but a pathway to freedom and achievement. Alongside personal growth, Aung La discovered the importance of giving back. Success alone feels empty without sharing it with others. By inspiring young athletes, supporting communities, and representing Myanmar with humility, he turned his victories into lessons for others. Every visit to a school, every conversation with a fan, and every workshop he conducted carried a message: believe in your dreams, work hard, and never give up. These moments created a ripple effect, motivating countless people to pursue their own goals. His story reminds us that challenges are part of the journey, not obstacles to stop us. Each fear, doubt, and failure can teach resilience, patience, and inner strength. Learning to embrace these experiences transforms struggle into opportunity and growth. Aung La's journey also teaches the power of hope. Even when the road seemed long and success distant, he maintained faith that effort and persistence would lead him forward. Hope fueled his training, encouraged him after losses, and inspired him to continue despite difficulties. For learners, his story is more than motivation. It is a practical guide. Each lesson, perseverance, faith, discipline, giving back, can be applied in daily life, studies, or work. By practicing English while reflecting on his journey, learners connect language skills with meaningful life experiences. Remember, every small step counts. Just as Aung La started with modest beginnings, you can grow through consistent effort, courage, and learning from mistakes. Every effort builds confidence, skill, and character. Success becomes truly meaningful when it benefits not only oneself but others. By sharing knowledge, support, and inspiration, your growth can spark hope and motivation in your community, just as Aung La does for Myanmar. So, take his story to heart. Face your fears, embrace challenges, and work patiently toward your goals. Each day is a chance to practice, improve, and move closer to your dreams, building both skill and character along the way. Aung La Nsang's legacy teaches that life is a combination of struggle and triumph, courage and discipline, personal growth and service to others. By following these lessons, you can create your own journey of achievement, hope, and inspiration. Let his story be a reminder, no matter where you start, no matter the obstacles, your dedication, faith, and heart can shape a meaningful life. Every step forward is a victory, every challenge a teacher, and every dream a possibility waiting for action. Thank you for watching this inspiring story of Aung La Nsang on Easy English Official. We hope you enjoyed learning about his journey, struggles, victories, and life lessons while practicing your English. Remember, success is not only about talent, but about perseverance, faith, discipline, and using your achievements to inspire others. You can apply these lessons in your own life, whether it's learning English, pursuing your dreams, or helping your community. If you felt inspired, don't forget to like this video and share it with friends who need motivation and want to improve their English too. Every small action counts, just like Aung La's small steps that led to great victories. We upload videos every day, full of motivational stories, life lessons, and English learning tips. By watching daily, you can improve your listening, reading, and understanding while discovering amazing stories of courage and success from around the world. Don't miss tomorrow's video, it could give you the motivation and language practice you need to take your next step forward. Leave a comment below and tell us which part of Aung La's story inspired you the most. Your thoughts encourage us to keep creating these videos and also help other learners connect with the story. Remember, your journey is just beginning. Stay determined, keep learning, and always believe in your dreams. Subscribe now and join the Easy English Official family. Together, we will grow, learn, and stay inspired every single day. See you in the next video.